Alright folks, a moment. Alright folks, so as part of my X-Men watch along. Alright folks, so as part of my X-Men watch along, Alright folks, as part of my X-Men watch along that I've been doing, I have now arrived to X-Men Apocalypse. Let's talk about it. Alright, so let's just dive into it. First, you start off the film with a classic Magneto monologue. The film is directed by Bryan Singer, who did the original X-Men trilogy as well as Days of Future Past. So, he sort of does the same thing every time to start the movie. I'm pretty sure this one has the visual effects intro as well. I should just mention here, I feel like maybe I should have mentioned in the other videos, but Bryan Singer, if you don't know, has a reputation in Hollywood. I'm a little fuzzy on it, but obviously, he's a scumbag. And I think it's important to distinguish the art from the artist, because a lot of people put their heart and souls into this movie. And, I just don't think it's fair to erase everything, that other people have done just because of the work of him. But yeah, Bryan Singer's a scumbag. Let's move on. I noticed maybe this is just my first time noticing it, but in this film there are a lot of unorthodox, I'll say, camera shots, camera movements, specifically in the beginning, with the pyramid stuff. But I feel like maybe it was just, an active choice for, again, Singer to maybe test himself and his ability. I don't know. I just thought it was odd. So this one continues the continuity from Days of Future Past, and you start off by a teacher recapping it to her kids, and Cyclops in the class, the events from Days of Future Past. And I think it's cool that they carry off of the idea that the world is now sort of accepting of mutants for the first time in the X-Men franchise, because we saw that Mystique saved, the president. She spared his life. She stopped Magneto, and the world, maybe thinks them as freaks still, or not exactly accepts them, but doesn't actively try to massacre them, which is a change. So this film took a page out of X-Men Origins book, which my review of is up there, by the way, if you haven't seen it. And it sort of gives Magneto a family, a classic trope. If you ever see an established character who didn't have a family before, and he now gets a very one-dimensional family at the beginning of the movie, that means they're going to die, like 99% of the time. And of course, this film is no exception. But this one, is sort of different to the Wolverine one, because he does try the quiet life that Charles was sort of telling him about. I still don't think it works well, like some people do. I see that some people think, it's kind of a nice moments in this film, but I still think it's a tired trope. It's so boring. Do something else. So in this film, maybe more than any other X-Men film, there's some very, very corny and forced dialogue, and you can mainly see it between Scott and Jean, and just really all the teens at the school. Pretty cringy stuff. And then in this film, it was pretty obvious that they were planning on doing the Dark Phoenix storyline for their next movie, because there's a lot of setup for it. It's sort of cool, like in First Class, how I said we got to see, which my review is up there, by the way. But it was cool how we got to see all these characters interact and meet for the first time, since they were already established in the original trilogy. And similarly here with Scott and Jean and their relationship, which is one of the biggest relationships in the team. Even though the dialogue sucks for the most part, it is cool to see them interact. You have Charles and Moira, the CIA agent from First Class. She was a nice character. It's nice to see her back, and I think their dynamic is, starts off funny, but also kind of a sweet, nice dynamic, yeah. And I have to say, this may be the funniest X-Men movie, aside from Deadpool, obviously, which the entire goal of Deadpool is to be funny. It's primarily a comedy movie, whereas these movies aren't primarily comedy movies. But this one had jokes. I like the jokes in this one. And then finally, I mentioned it in my Days of Future Past review, which is up there. I've done a lot of these by now. But Evan Peters, Quicksilver, shows up again. He's much more prominent in this film, and I definitely liked him a lot more in this film than Days of Future Past. He's more fleshed out. The fans loved him after seeing him in the last movie, so it's obvious they wanted to bring him to the forefront. And he's the whole reason I started doing this watch along. So thank you to Evan Peters, X-Men, and again, he does a great job in this film. And then his scene where he's rescuing all the students from the house, sort of a classic by now. but it's on par, I'd say, to the Days of Future Past one, possibly better. Great scene. It's similar stuff, but I think they keep it fresh enough to make it unique. If they did it every film, hopefully it's not in Dark Phoenix, or that'll get pretty annoying. But yeah, it works. All right, here we go though, because the central, I love a good villain if you know me, and Apocalypse is a dumbass villain. He really is. He's just when you have a villain that is so overpowered like that, and you don't really set the stage, set the scale for the heroes, then you know that he's going to be taken out in some ridiculously dumb way. And he's just like all powerful. He's literally like God. The movie wants you to believe that he's been every god ever. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And his motives are stupid. He gets a lot of dialogue, which I feel like really doesn't work for the character. I feel like he should have been more the silent type. And I feel like that would have made him more menacing. A dumb character. I don't think he's a good villain. And then in this film, you get a lot of new characters introduced into this reboot. Some are cool, some aren't. You have Psylocke, who's a pretty cool addition. I knew she was in these movies. I was kind of waiting for her to show up. And then you have people like even, unfortunately, Scott, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler are all super lame iterations compared to their previous selves. I think Cyclops was, he's sort of whatever the script wants him to be. Sometimes, he's a rebellious teenager. Sometimes he's kind of he switches a lot. He's not consistent. Jean Grey, I like the actress. She's from Game of Thrones, I think, which I haven't seen too much of. But Sophie Turner, I think her acting was horrible in this film. I think it was really bad, and it's not just the script. You can see, not a good performance. And then Nightcrawler, after watching X2, where you have a really cool Nightcrawler, this guy's a loser, bro. I'm sorry. There's no other way to put it. He's they didn't do justice to this team, but what can you do? And then this film is very predictable, very, 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 very predictable. So a curious thing here, though, again tying back to Evan Peters, and the reason I'm doing this is because of WandaVision, which my reviews of are up there, a playlist. Why? So they mentioned that Magneto is Evan Peters' father, the Quicksilver's father, right? Which I know there's comic origins behind that stuff. I'm not familiar with all that. But I'm wondering if that has any implications for WandaVision, seeing that if that really is Evan Peters' Quicksilver, which it might not be, probably isn't even, but if it is, or there's a reason why he looks like that, why he looks like Evan Peters' Quicksilver, then Magneto being his father, and Scarlet Witch being his sister, what does it mean? I don't know. We'll see. And then we learn in this film that, Logan has the adamantium again. It's sort of a setup for Logan, the film Logan. And somehow Stryker got a hold of him again after Days of Future Past, which is sort of funny because one of the big messages of Days of Future Past is the future predetermined? Is what's going to happen always going to happen? Or is it different? And it turns out that in this case, what's going to happen always happened, even though in that film, they were able to change their future. So Stryker got a hold of Logan again just to set up that film, it seems like, and a bit lazy, yeah. So the movie has too many focuses and plot lines. It's very, very crowded. And again, none of the stakes feel real. Like I said with Apocalypse, when you have a villain that overpowered, you know that they have to defeat him, which means that that the way they defeat him is going to be, some generic, previously undescribed invention or whatever, something like that. And then you also know that at least some of the Four Horsemen, Storm and Magneto, definitely will turn, and they're not going to die. They're not going to serve Apocalypse to the end because these are integral characters to the franchise. So again, no stakes when you get to the end. And then this film retcons Charles' baldness by making it a part of the Apocalypse, transition to body thing, which, if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. But then my question now is, because of that stupid decision, you have now, why does he go bald in the first place without the Apocalypse stuff happening, which of course wouldn't have happened if Days of Future Past never happened. So Charles was going to go bald anyway. I don't know, which again reassures the idea that in Days of Future Past that the future is already predetermined. So either disregard that film or disregard this film in terms of themes. And then I would give this film credit, finally, for once, not having Magneto be the big bad at the end of it, but instead, they make him, he joined the X-Men at the end to fight Apocalypse. So his ending was still predictable, I'll say. At least they didn't make him the villain, though, because that would have been infuriating. So, a lot of people give, and recently especially, give shit to the MCU just because it's, some franchise films, they say it's ruining cinema. It's definitely not ruining cinema, and I would personally describe it as cinema. But, they have a point in the sense that it is sort of overtaking all these it's stopping other filmmakers from putting their work out there. But I feel like in the MCU, in particular, the reason why I just love it so much is because of the effort put into every entry. They really, really try to give each film its identity. It has a solid script for the most of the time, great acting, and a continuity that, threads it all together unlike anything ever put to screen before. This franchise is truly remarkable in the history of cinema. Whereas, films like X-Men Apocalypse, unfortunately, are everything wrong with the genre. They're the reason why people look at superhero films and they think so poorly of them, because it's generic, it does, nothing differently, super lazy, all these tropes, and there's very little redeeming about this film. I had an okay time with it, I'll say. It wasn't horrible, but this film has to be a C for me. It's on X-Men Origins level, just because of the genericness. It's not a fun watch. It's not a fun watch. It's a lazy movie, and it's predictable. That's my review. All right, folks, so that's my review of X-Men Apocalypse. If you want to keep in touch with, that's not the word, but if you want to keep in track, that's still not really phrased right, with my X-Men franchise ranking / reviews, then, keep subscribe, bell, yada, you know the drill. And my next review will be Logan. So I know a lot of people like that one. Keep an eye out for it. P.S. It's good, but you knew that already. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.